to mention a very important Satsang who couldn't be here tonight, and I want to have a moment of thought of Thakur and these people because they're very important to Satsang. One is Gisela Lichgarn. Many of you may know her, at least by reputation, and many of you have been fortunate enough to meet her and talk to her, and her son Gabriel. It seems like Gisela had some medical issues in the last 24 hours, ended up in the hospital, but she's okay, but she'll be fine in a couple days or 3 days, and she's getting on in years, so as you get on in years, as I have, things start happening to you. So I think I'd like to just wait maybe 30 seconds, get everybody think of Thakur and Gisela, and just kind of say a nice prayer for Gisela and her getting better real quickly, because we miss her tonight. So. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'm supposed to talk about my life with Thakur. Is that something? I took initiation in 1971 in Deogar. No, I didn't take it in Deogar, excuse me, that's not true. I took it in Calcutta. I'd actually gone to the ashram, I met Borda, I met a lot of Satsangis, and I left Satsang, I left Deogar, and I went traveling around India to different places, and I went to Puri, and I went to Ramakrishna's ashram on the Ganges River there in Calcutta. And then I went to Calcutta, and I stayed with some people from Satsang, and in that person's house I ended up taking initiation, which is kind of a very unusual situation. And then I went back to the ashram, and they said, "Oh, you're back, you're going to take initiation." I said, "No, I already took it." So it was kind of interesting. So I have a long history with Sri Sri Thakur, and he's had an extremely profound effect on my life. The fact that I've been doing this for so long and been very consistent with my responsibilities as an individual means a lot. I mean, to stick with something for that long and be that committed outside the mainstream of my life, it has obviously has a big impact. And why do I do it? Because I'm getting benefits. And I don't know, maybe that's selfish. I think about it sometimes, and maybe I'm selfish in following Thakur. I probably don't do enough for others, but I just try to be loyal and devoted to Thakur in my life. I don't make, try to make all good decisions, but we never know whether it's a good decision or not until after we make the decision. But I would say I've been very fortunate in my case that majority of my decisions have been good with the grace of Thakur. So I thought about a couple things. I didn't know I was going to talk, but I thought I might be asked to talk. So one of the things that I think is important, in my case anyway, that I think it would be helpful for all of us to reflect on, for those who do their morning Ishtabirti or Shastani, and they do the prayer, or whatever else you do your praying. We have a lot of these prayers that we're supposed to be saying at the same time. I'm only assuming, I don't know what anybody else does, but in my case, when I do the auto-suggestion and the prayers that go along with the offerings that we do every day, I take those very seriously by the words. Sometimes what's interesting to me is that I'll say these words and I can't remember I know the words, obviously. I'm doing it every day for, umpteen amount of years, but my concentration isn't there. Although I might be repeating the name while I do all this stuff. And I have to repeat the words again, and I break down the words one by one until I get some meaning out of them. And I think what I'm just saying to you individually is that sometimes we can gloss over things and we just assume and go through the motions, and it can be helpful. I'm not saying it's true for everybody. It can be helpful if we take these words from the auto-suggestion and from our offering of Ishtabirti and Shastani, those words that we say along with them, instead of speeding through them, sometimes break it down and repeat some of the sections of those words and dwell on what it means to you individually. This is what I've done, and I do it, on a fairly regular basis because I want to really get meaning and substance out of this. So I think I just wanted to pass that along. It's up to individuals. Everything we do with Tucker, in my opinion, is up to us individually. Nobody ever pressures me. I've never seen anybody pressure anybody else. You should be doing this or you should be doing that. I never see that in Satsang, which is a really big deal. Everybody's responsible for themselves, and that's what the purpose of Tucker is, to help each person be a better person. And like part of the phraseology we use is being and becoming. We want to become something better than we are. The other thing that Tucker's had a very impactful effect on my life, and I think it should be true for everybody in this room. What I see when I talk to people about my spirituality, my devotion, whether I mention Tucker's name or not, I don't always mention Tucker's name, but I do talk about spirituality and my belief system. And I think what I see with Americans, I got to believe it's true for most people, no matter where you're from, is that in our society today, that we have so many things going on in our brains. Our brains are like boom, 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 whether it be work, whether it be family, whether it be friends. And we're constantly trying to figure out, how do we manage all this activity going on in our brains? Well, and I can only speak for myself, but I believe, this very strong belief in Tucker, that if we do the meditation, we do these offerings, and we're sincere in our efforts, very important factor is sincerity, that we want to believe in what we're doing, not just going through the motions, that we, all of us in this room, should achieve what I would call peace of mind. And then I think Tucker allows us to have peace of mind. If we can achieve some level of peace of mind, then I think with Tucker's grace, what happens to us on a daily basis unfolds for us the way it should be with Tucker's grace. That's what I believe in. That's what I think Tucker's had a big impact on my life. I've had a tremendous amount of happiness and success in my life, and I do attribute a lot of that to Tucker. Of course, I'm doing the doing. He's not. However, he's inside me, and I'm trying to do the right things so that what happens in front of me every day works out to my best interest. And I've seen this many, 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 many times. Listen, life is not perfect. Life has its problems. We have our hurdles. We have our conflicts. We have our challenges. That's what life is all about. How we manage that, with the benefit of having a spiritual guide, a guru, a teacher, a mentor, who can help us help ourselves be a better person, become being and becoming. We want to be our being, who we are, and become even better. And I think that's why we're here. I think other people can get this benefit, not just the people in this room. The challenge is getting them to understand these benefits. So I don't know what else to say. I think that's what I believe. That's what Tucker's meant to me in my life. I think I love meditating. Meditating to me is the best thing. And if you can do that and do it sincerely every day, twice a day, do it when you're going back and forth to work, doing whatever you can, repeating the mantra, the name, is hugely, hugely beneficial. It puts you in a state of, I would say, relaxation, and I think it'll help everyone achieve peace of mind, calm the brain down. I can't speak for everybody, but I would say it's fairly common that our brains are constantly in a state of activity. I think that's about it. If anybody has a question, I'd be happy to answer it.
Can you give us one experience with Sissy Bonda in your life?
Are you a Satsang? Who are you? We have one rebel in the crowd, Ashish Basu. What's my relationship with Borda? What was my relationship with Borda? Well, Borda is, I never met Tucker. I was there after Tucker's expiration, but Borda was an interesting person. I had a lot of interaction with him when I was in India, obviously. I'll tell you an interesting story. I don't know. He's a man, to me, he was a man of very few words. However, when he talked, he was very direct and very firm in his words. He didn't speak much. He could speak English, but he didn't do it very often. I just had a good relationship with him. He asked me to do a couple of things for him, which I did, which were like miracles. I'm telling you, they were miracles. I was able to accomplish it because this was in the 70s and mostly in the 70s. My devotion was so high, and there are other people in this room who have done very much same things as me. Not the exact same, but their devotion was probably higher than mine. But whatever Board asked me to do, I would do it to the letter. And he asked me to do some things that I was able to accomplish, which if I'm not going to go into the details because I don't want to do that, but they were miracles. Even when I brought my daughter there, and let's see, 10 years ago, I brought her to the ashram, and Dada had to tell the story of one of these miracles to my daughter because he even said it was a miracle, that what I was able to do. And it's only because, not that I was anything, but I was devoted to Borda. And so what Board asked me to do, I did it. And I've seen this people here, Satsangis here, do the exact same thing with Dada. They tell me, Jeff, this is what Dada has asked me to do, this is what he's told us to do, that's what I'm doing. You don't have to do it, you don't want to do it, that's fine. I'm totally committed to this. And I respect those people tremendously. I will tell you one interesting story I had with Sri Sri Borda, because it was a big impact on my life. So when I came back from the ashram, I had no job. I lived with my parents, and I took a self vow. Of course, I was a vegetarian. My mother was 100% supportive of my vegetarianism, as you say. Well, yeah, I was a vegetarian. She was 100% supportive. This is very interesting what my mother did. There's this company, I don't know if they're still called Nabisco, Nabisco, very famous. Because in the packaging in the 70s, on the wrapper, they used to put for ingredients, they would put shortening. But they never told back then, it was a different state of business or whatever, it was not health consciousness. My mother called the national headquarters to find out what kind of shortening was in the product. That's pretty much amazing to me. She was so concerned about my following what Thakur wanted me to do. She found out that there was not vegetarian shortening. So she wouldn't buy that product. So that's pretty cool. But I want to tell you, this is the more important story. I just thought of it because it's about my mother, who's 95 and now living back here in Connecticut with me. Not with me, but in my area. But so anyway, when I came back, I decided to work for my father. I wanted to do everything I could to make my father happy and successful, make my parents happy, all because of Thakur. 100% guaranteed on that statement. That was not my way of doing things, but Thakur said, you got to honor your parents and just make them happy, and that's what I did. And I did it for 10 years or more, maybe it was 14, and I decided that I wasn't going to do any social activity, although I was, I was getting up in age, but I didn't do any dating, didn't go out with any girls or anything. And I lived in a commune with this Gisela and her husband David, Gabriel, Carrie Brace, and a couple other people. We all lived in the same house. And I decided that I wanted to, I thought about getting married. I said, geez, I think I should get married. But I didn't want to do anything. So I went to Deogar and I had a meeting with Borda. And I sat in a room, there was maybe, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 people in the room, including Carrie Brace was there at the time. And I said to Borda, I would like your feedback. I didn't use the word feedback. I said, I'm thinking that I would like to get married. What do you think? And so, I came all the way from America, flew there to Calcutta, had to go all the way to Jocelyn Station, get to Deogar. All he said to me was 2 words. Kubalo. I thought I was going to get, well, you should consider this, you should consider that, don't forget this. No, 2 words. So I think that, to me, that describes Borda. He didn't, simplicity was his thing. He was a powerful man. I spent, quite a few trips with him, and but it was not an ongoing conversation. With Dada, I've had many conversations, in all range of subjects, but different personality. Anyway, I don't know if that helps answer your question, Ashish Pasha, our illustrious president of Satsang. Okay. All right, everybody, join you. Thank you.